Hello, friends and fellow board gamers. Welcome back to another episode of Board Games with Rob. Today, I'm going to be going over a game that was a recent purchase and one that I've been eyeing for some time. I'll also give you a review of it and provide you with what my thoughts are on it. But it's, like I said, a game that I've been seeing a lot of ads for a long time. And what was piquing my interest of it was the name of it, Skara Brae. Back in the 80s, when I was gaming, in the height of my gaming era, one of my favorite all-time games was Ultima 4. Actually, all of the Ultima games, but Ultima 4 was kind of groundbreaking and probably deserves a video of its own. But one of the villages or cities in Ultima 4 was Skara Brae, and I believe it was the village of the mages, or at least maybe the clerics, or it was a magic user of some sort. But I immediately, when I saw the title of the game, I went right to Ultima 4. Well, little did I know that Skara Brae is actually a village in Northern Ireland. And this game, when you look over here at Board Game Geek, it gives a little bit of a description saying, you're a resilient group of farmers and hunters, and about 5,000 years ago in northern Scotland in the Orkney Islands. So, needless to say, it's not a game based on a fictitious city of mages. It's actually based off of a real city or village from 5,000 years ago. Anyway, I digress. Let's go down and let me show you some of the components as I open up the box here. And again, it's a Garphill Games and it's Shem and Sam Phillips. We're used to a lot of their games and their look. And I love the art. And in here I've got my insert. For some of you that may know me, I have a insert company called inserthere.me, but I'm not here to really focus on that. But the one thing that you will notice about this game is it is resource heavy. There are tons of different resources here. This represents food. You've got these shivs or knives, which were things that you would pry off these stone balls. It's in the manual. It kind of describes how they were created. And this green resource is dirt or midden is what they call it, and that's one of the primary resources that you're going to be collecting and not wanting. You're going to want to get rid of that. But then here's another tray of we've got some skins, some animal skins, some cows and seaweed and grain, and then we've got, oh wow, fish and wood and stone. And as we keep going, look at this. We've got bones and I think clam, wool, and maybe deer. It's a lot of resources, and we've even got, oh, some sheep here, and then these are multipliers. And then everybody has their own player tray, which is going to be composed of several tiles, and I'll show a layout. These are your worker placement tiles that are double-sided. You can upgrade these, and they will provide you benefits. And there's some worker pieces that you'll have in this midden tracker. Everybody will have their own, and there are some other general tiles to pick from. You get so many tiles that everybody will have, and then everybody gets to pick from two separate tiles or actions, and then they will pick one of the two. They'll be handed out two and pick one of the two. There's some solo cards, and then a lot of the main cards are going to be coming from this deck that you'll be pulling from. But I digress. Let me pause here and I will set up the game and come right back. Alrighty then, I've got somewhat of the board set up here to give you enough of an idea of how the game will look like. I've only got one player set up, so everybody will have a setup with their own individual player board. These are all the tiles I was speaking about earlier, and with space left over for one more. These are worker action spots that are upgradable. They're different buildings. And so the game comes with a variety of different tiles that you can pick from with different actions that are all unique. These are all the same for everybody, but these tiles here are going to be unique, and everybody will draft two and then pick one of the two. So for example, I'll throw innovate out there, and then your board will somewhat look like this. And Kind of neat how it makes a picture with the way that the tiles are laid out. That was kind of a neat decision they made. And I've got it set up. Up here are communal cards that people will pick as part of their turn in turn order. The game is played over 4 eras or 4 seasons, with each season comprising 3 different turns. During a turn, each player, this is a turn order track, and the person on top will go first. So in this case, red is first. Now, what's unique about this is seeing all these cards will be laid out. And so seeing what cards are laid out, player on top may decide to pass. What they can do is say, I'm going to pass, I'll go here, and then yellow can take their turn. Now, yellow might want to pass, so they might want to go up here, but then eventually, or if you do take your turn, you go down and you go here. Then it would be purple. Of course, they have to go, they can't pass. And then me, red, who passed earlier, now would take their turn. Everyone has to take a turn, but you have that early option to be able to pass, so that now at the end of the round of the first season, all of these will go back over here, or I'm sorry, for the second round, and then red will go first. And you'll do that 3 different times for the first season. You'll repeat it for season 2, then 3, and then 4. So that's how turns work. So what comprises a turn? The first thing a player will do is take one of the cards that are available. So let's say this is the first round and it's these 4 cards. They could take a card. And I'll make it simple, and let's just say that they took this card. They would then place the card, and there's 2 different types of cards. There's worker cards, and then there's these other cards, which I'll go over in just a second. Now, these worker cards, if you notice, these 4 tiles here are reserved for workers. So if you notice, each one has kind of a gather ability that's listed in this bar. And so this one, the yellow one, matches this track right here. And so you would place that worker down under their corresponding track. Like, for example, this one here is the blue one. It goes with the C action, and it would go down here. And I'm kind of cutting off the video here, but each turn, as you draft a card, you are somewhat building up an engine. So for example, if I drew a blue card in that turn, and then I later drew another blue card, I'm stacking these. And what's going to happen is, if you look at this action, you will do the top action at a strength of however many cards that you have. So for example, if I had, say 2 cards under here, then I would be able to take 2 grain. Or likewise, if I had 3, I'd be able to take 3 grain. Essentially, I'm taking a grain per each one of these symbols underneath the tile. And then the next thing I will do is whatever is underneath the card at the very bottom, the bottom banner. So in this example, I would be able to run the red engine, that funky symbol there at the bottom. It might be a little hard to see, represents another one of these engines. This gatherer here, I'd be able to then run that particular engine, or that gather action. Some of the other abilities on the card, like for example, this one is just get a fish. Um, each card has a unique ability that's different, and that will trigger once when I play that card. And then if I was to stack another card on top of this, then it would have its unique bottom ability, and that would trigger. So again, just to recap, the first thing that you'll do is draw one of the 4 cards, place it, and then do the top ability, which is the banner on the actual card. I'm sorry, on the actual tile, and then you would run the unique ability on the bottom of the card. Now, there are a couple other cards that are not workers. So you're going to either have one of the 4 workers to pick from, or there are 3 other cards you can get. Now, this one here is a roof card, and it's worth a certain amount of victory points at the end of the game. However, and As you might have thought or guessed or surmised, you're going to have to feed workers in this game. And you're going to be feeding the amount of worker cards that you have. You'll have to gather one food for every worker down there. The good thing about the roof cards, however, is that they will provide one food for one of your workers. So for every roof card that you have, and you'll place those just off to the side underneath or somewhere in your play area, you can negate one food. Another card that's a little unique is, where is it? The stone ball. And I was talking about this earlier. These are stone balls that Skara Braeans would use and cut off those little nodules that are on that ball to make those scale knives. And so for each one of these, you will get a scale knife down here. And so the first one, I would get one scale knife, and it's worth 2 victory points at the end of the game. However, when I place my second one, I would get two. And then when I place the third one, I'd get three of them. And they would go in my resource area there on the board. The scale knives are good because they can be used for a variety of different things, but one of the main reasons you might want to use them is they will fuel the actions, the worker card actions down here. So for example, if I had two of the yellow cards underneath my yellow gather tile, I would run that as at a power strength of 2. However, I could spend another scale knife to run it an extra time. So it works kind of as a wild resource for the gather actions to be able to beef up that skill. And then the last card that's unique is this utensil card. It also is worth 2 victory points, but it will give you a hide immediately, but it does two really cool things. It's going to increase your hearth power, and I will talk about hearth rating. That's essentially a way to cook your food. And then it also decreases your midden requirement. And again, I'll go over that here shortly. That refers to the amount of clutter or dirt that you'll be gathering at the end of each round. These are really good, and it's a good way to negate that midden effect as well as get you some more bang for your buck when you need to cook food. So that's the first action. You draw a card and you place it. If it's any one of those three cards I talked about, you'll put it off to the side. All right, then once you've done that, you will take one of your workers and you will place it out on one of the actions on the board. And you can notice you'll have two different types of workers. You start out with a chieftain in the beginning, and then you'll have a small little worker from that point on out. And you get a total of 4. You start the first season with your chieftain, and then for each of the other 2 seasons, you'll get another worker. So that on the fourth and last season, you'll have all 4 of your workers. And the way they work is as you place them out, you can have 2 different types of workers on a spot. So you can have your chieftain and your regular worker on a spot, but you could not have 2 of the same worker on an action. So it allows you to at least once during your turn take the same action twice. And the actions range from anything from being able to upgrade your tile to cooking food, which is important. I'll talk about that in a little bit. You can gather additionally, other than just placing your cards there, you can take a gather action, which will get you some different types of resources. You can trade, which will get you up this track, which is end game scoring, as well as getting you some meat. You can go up the furnace track, which is a big end of game victory point engine that you can get. And then, like I said, the cooking, the crafting is upgrading, and then cleaning, which is going to be very important. So as you can tell or see, as you gather resources down here on the board, this tracker is going to slide up. Now let me bring this closer to the camera. So, and let me grab a couple different resources here just to show you what I mean. So the tracker will start right there, and you start with 2 of those scale knives. But as you get more resources, let's say I was to get 3 more food, 1, 2, and 3, you automatically move this tracker up to accommodate your food or your resources. If you then spend that food, you don't automatically move that tracker back down. It stays there unless you take the cleaning action. And as you can see, this is going to go up as you get more resources. And the top in here, it's saying 3. That at the end of the round, at the end of your 3 rounds, or at the end of the season, you're going to get 3 midden to put onto your board, which are themselves going to take up slots on your action board. So that's not a good thing. And once you start getting up here, you're going to get negative victory points. So taking the cleaning action will not only remove the midden from your board, but it will also allow you to slide the tracker down. Now, speaking of food, if you take the cooking action, you have a certain amount of hearth points available to you. And in the very beginning, that is 4, 1 to 4. Now, if you upgrade the building, every building has a upgraded side. It's the back side. And the bottom of these cards show you the resources that you have to spend to be able to build the upgrade. And you would have to take the crafting ability and then pay for the resources to upgrade the ability. So if you cook, you've got 4 resources. Now, if you look at the bottom of the board, it's going to show you of those 4 hearth points, what you would need to spend to get a certain amount of food, the bottom being the food icon. So for example, if I was to just cook one clamshell, I'd get 1 food, and it would take 1 hearth point. Likewise, 1 grain would take a hearth point. So I could cook, say, 2 clam and 2 grain. That would make up my 4 points, and then I would get for food like that. However, once you go up here, if you were to just cook the cow, it's 4 points just by itself, but then you would get 2 food, a hide, and 2 bones. And those resources are good for other things out on the board. So the game is essentially a a resource gathering trading game where you're getting cards, you're building an engine, you're trading in goods, trying to watch that midden track to make sure that that doesn't get out of hand. And at the end of the 3 seasons or 4 seasons, 3 rounds each, the person with the most victory points will win the game. All right, folks, that's Skara Brae. It has a lot of resources, doesn't it? But what I like about this one, there's kind of 2 unique things going on here, other than just the huge amount of resources that you have to worry about. There is the midden cleanup and needing to manage your resources. So you're having to manage the capacity that your board has and not let that get out of hand, and make sure that you're taking that cleaning action. The cleaning action allows you to take off the midden or move that slider back down. Another unique thing is the whole being able to use workers as well as place cards during your turn to do a variety of different actions. That's really neat. And the turn order track. That is came into making many strategic decisions in the game because you see ahead what the next 2 turns within a season are going to get you and what cards are out there. So if you're trying to aim for a particular engine or a color engine, you might want that yellow worker, or maybe you want the blue worker. And so skipping your turn now so that you can better position yourself for the next one comes in handy and is a decision you have to make a lot of times. I just if you're used to playing the Garphill games and the Sam and Shem Phillip games, this is going to have a very familiar feel with to you, other than just having a ton of more resources. I mean, they're typically resource gathering, worker placement type games, and this is exactly what this is. What sets it apart, I think, are definitely the mid, and that's the biggest thing is resource management and making sure that you're uh, getting the best bang for your buck. And when you're cooking, maybe you're getting these resources so that you can then make them to do another action, and you're not just taking things just for the sake of taking them. You're really making conscious decisions about the actions you're taking to make sure that you're getting the best resources in and out of your storage location on your board. The quality of the game is superb. It's great. The cards are very nice quality. The action tiles are really nice thick cardboard. I love all the different meeples for all the different resources. They're really, really good. So I would rate this a very solid 8. I had a lot of fun playing this game. I loved managing all the different resources and mitigating the midden that was coming in. I enjoyed the turns building up over time. You start with only one worker in the first season, but in the next season you've got two workers, and in the third three, and at the end you've got all four workers to play around with. And then you have your engines that are building over time. Those cards that are at the bottom of your gather tiles, those engines are building up so that every time you're placing a card, you're running that and getting a ton of different actions that you can get. I had a lot of fun in this game. It didn't overstay its welcome. The components were great, and it just made for a very enjoyable evening. So that's Skara Brae, and no, it's not a video game based on an old 80s Ultima 4 experience that I had, but it's a very pleasant board game that I really enjoyed playing and one that I will definitely keep in my collection. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gives you a little bit of a grasp of what the game's about. And until next time, have fun gaming. Bye bye.